The Greater Centerville Historians organized in the year 2000. The purpose of the organization is to preserve the history of the Township of Centerville, Cleveland and surrounding area. Gerald O'Neill, Charlie Bauer, Richard Wiegand, and myself, Kathleen Sixel, were the founding members. In 1831, the territory south of Green Bay was sold to the U.S. government by the Native Americans who had title to the land. The consideration was the promise of a reservation in another state. The Township of Centerville was established in 1850. The township had a village called Centerville. The reason for the hamlet's original name of Centerville was, in the days of the Indians, there was a trail along Lake Michigan between Manitowoc and Sheboygan. This heavenly spot was exactly at the halfway mark, so the early white man gave it the name Centerville. In 1849, the village of Centerville was surveyed and laid out in lots and blocks. The village of Centerville was renamed Hika when the Postmaster General informed the village leaders that another Centerville was located in the state. When it became time for Centerville to be renamed, a judge in Manitowoc by the name of Albert Schmidt would take kids hiking. The judge said, "You can't call a town hiking, so why not make it Hika?" Thus, the village of Centerville became Hika. In the early years, Centerville had the vision of becoming a lake port. To encourage ships to dock there, 2 piers were built into Lake Michigan. Many German immigrants arrived by schooners, and the village began to grow. The village had a brick factory, stores, schools, a Lutheran and a Catholic church, mills, saloons, blacksmith shop, and a fire department, and a brewery. When the brewery was built, the settlement began to flourish. But when fire destroyed the brewery, the largest industry, there was no longer a need for the harbor facilities. So ended this chapter of the development of Hika. 2 miles west of Hika, another settlement known as St. Wendel began to grow. It had a Catholic church, a general store with a connected dance hall, and a post office was also located in the complex, a funeral parlor, and at one time a motel. With the clearing of the forest, tilling of the land began. This prompted the exporting of lumber and grains. The farmers of Centerville looked forward to the building of a railway since they had a serious problem transporting their products. In 1873, the Milwaukee, Lakeshore, and Western Railroad was built between the settlements of Hika and St. Wendel and was named Centerville Station. In 1880, Centerville Station was renamed Cleveland after President Grover Cleveland. Cleveland, at that point in time, owes its growth to the fact that the Township of Centerville was a rich farming community, and farmers from miles around would bring products to be shipped by rail or ship. The village of Cleveland had several grocery stores, a furniture store, a funeral parlor, several saloons, Lutheran church, hardware stores, several gas stations, newspaper, photographer studio, several car dealerships, cheese factory, several feed mills, livestock yard, and lumber yards. The biggest business was the Cleveland Co-op, which offered many types of services. With the failing of grain crops, the farmers began dairy farming. With the abundance of milk, another industry began, cheese and butter making. Local cheese factories dotted the countryside. One-room schools were usually built near the cheese factories, so children would have a ride to school when farmers brought their milk. In 1958, Hika, St. Wendel, and Cleveland incorporated into the village of Cleveland. In 1968, the Cleveland Elementary School was built. The Township of Centerville has seen many farming changes, but dairy farming is still the primary vocation. Today, Cleveland is known as the seat of Lakeshore Technical College, which offers an educational alternative to 4-year colleges. An ancient proverb states, When an old person dies, a library burns to the ground. These words were the inspiration for organizing the Greater Centerville Historians. We hope to preserve as many memories as possible. It is July 11th. My name is Cathy and I would like to welcome everybody this evening to the meeting of the Greater Centerville Historians. And it's so nice that you all take time out to come and help us capture all the history that is available. We recently have had a terrorist attack in London. That was probably last week. And this evening we have a lot of things to go through. First of all, we'll do the rules. Please raise your hand when you have information so Mr. O'Neill can address you and move the camera so we don't miss any information. Always state your full name. Try and use full names when referring to people. Don't always use nicknames because in future years we can't reference it back. We won't know who it is. And well, this one I'm a little guilty of. Please don't visit while the camera is on because it picks up in the video. So, and the question for the evening is an event that we went to. We used to have a family reunion on Wilkie's Lake.
Okay.
And we would go swimming. It was real muddy. And you know, your parents were so afraid of water years ago that they had you so frightened. And we always had to wait 2 hours after you ate because of getting cramps, right? But I think that rule has changed too in this day and age. So that was one thing. And then Hattie Kister had a little stand, and then she'd open a screen up like that, and then you could buy ice cream there.
Okay. That was at what lake again?
Wilkie's Lake.
Wilkie's Lake.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Thank you. And we have a gentleman who'd like to introduce himself and give us that information also. Go right
Larry
ahead.
Kieselhorst. And the thing my folks would take us to would be to the Velders Picnic and mainly the Manitowoc County Fair.
Okay.
And if it came to going to Cedar Lake or sort of swim, my dad said jump in the tank. Okay.
Jump in the tank.
So that's as far as that usually went.
Good enough, Larry. Good job. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Willard Mathias, and what we did during the summer was my dad was a cheesemaker.
Okay.
So how much was left of the Sunday when he got done making cheese? So he would usually go to a picnic in the surrounding areas.
Okay.
We'd get to go to a picnic. But
All right.
That's it.
Very good. Thank you. And you, ma'am?
I'm Alice Mathias. I don't have anything too exciting. We lived in Manitowoc.
Okay.
And never had a car. We had 8 in our family, 8 kids. And the only thing that we ever did really as a family, besides playing cards at home,
Yeah.
was going to church.
Okay.
Walking. We always had a walk.
Always had a walk.
Yeah.
My
right.
goodness.
So
My gosh.
that's the only thing. We went to the county fair on our own
All
as
right.
the kids got older and this and that and
Yeah.
dances. But as a family, as a group, we had get-togethers for Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Okay.
And hey, I forgot about our picnic. We had a picnic for over 50 years at Lincoln Park.
Okay.
It started out with my parents, and then, well, the 8 kids and their families. Well, now real many of them are gone, but we still get around 80 to 100 every year at our
Wow.
reunion.
Great. Hey, that's
So
good.
I forgot about that.
That's a
That was
nice
more
thing.
important.
That's very nice. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Irene Nine, and because we lived on the farm, our city relatives would come out and the picnic would be at our house.
Oh, really? Okay. Good. You supplied all the meat and potatoes?
Right. And the work.
And the work. Very good. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Frederick Jacoby, and we lived on the farm. The county fair was always a big thing, and then every year we have a cherry picking excursion up the Sturgeon Bay area.
Okay.
With a couple good friends.
Sure.
Hilbert Zills and Robert Lutzies.
Okay.
And picnics down on the Wilkie farm, and I don't know what that's called, and I was just going to ask Buddy, but I didn't have time.
Okay.
On the lake, there, because that was, Mrs. Zill was a Wilkie.
Oh.
So we always went down there. And then, of course, the inland lakes, before you have to wait till about October till you go to Lake Michigan. See,
Okay.
so, thrashing time. So we'd Sunday afternoons up to Elkhart Lake, Pigeon Lake. Oh, I forgot the first thing we mentioned before, the ball games with my dad. But that wasn't family. That was just my father was a ball fan, and
Okay.
I got taken along to. I sat through lots of ball games in all the parks in the county.
Okay. Well, he was showing you the right way to live.
Didn't take.
Didn't
I
take.
never got to be a ball fan.
Thank you very much. And who do you have here, please?
Melvin Yiddish, and when we were brought up on the farm, if we got the manure pile hauled after trashing, then we went to the fair.
Oh, really? And what fair was that? Manitowoc County Fair. Okay, well, very good. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Eugene Weiser, and we used to go to the Sheboygan County Fair, once in a while Manitowoc County Fair,
Okay,
and once in a while firemen's picnics.
okay. And that was after all the chores were done, too?
That's right.
Okay. And who do you have here, please?
Dolores Crafts, and my parents, and all the kids. There were 8 of us. We used to go to St. Nazian's picnic every year.
Okay,
And we always had a family gathering
okay,
at the Reltman and Wilkie farm.
okay.
My grandma, Reltman, was a Wilkie from Haven.
Okay. Now that
So
that Wilkie Farm, was that by Wilkie's Lake?
No,
No.
that was by Haven.
Oh, okay, okay,
That farm isn't no more.
okay. Well, very good. Sounds like a family affair all the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you, ma'am?
Cathy Wagner, and I lived on a farm too, and my parents weren't goers, doers. We spent a lot of time at home.
Okay. So you had spent the family events there.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Walter Kress.
Walter?
Parents usually took me to when the circus came, we went and watched the circus set up.
Oh,
And I lived across from Stratman's Winter Garden, so we went to a lot of picnics.
yes, very good. And where was that circus set up?
Sheboygan.
In Sheboygan. Okay, very good. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Marie Pippert. My parents didn't do anything like that. I think the biggest thing was when you had a double and you went to Prangies and you sat at the counter and had a hot dog and root beer. And besides that, just uncles and aunts when they had birthdays and stuff like
Okay,
that.
all right. None of the major stuff, just the family things.
Yep.
Okay, very good. And who do you have here, please?
My name is Edith Woodsey, and my parents participated in many things. They would take us to band concerts in Manitowoc almost every week whenever there was one.
Okay.
County fair every year. And we always had a Rouge family reunion at Silver Creek Park. And my
Okay.
dad was on the office of the telephone company. And we always would go along with those picnics because they were always at Stratman's.
Okay.
And where I lived, there was many miles. We had a couple.
I imagine. Yes, you did. Very good. Okay, and who do you have here, please?
Dorothy Anderson, down from Hika, and I lived across from Stratman's, like Walter got over there every time they had a picnic or something.
Sure.
But I don't know if we went as a family, but one thing we did go as a family is out to Cedar Lake.
Okay.
And swim.
Okay, very nice place too.
Yeah.
Very good. And who do you have here, please?
Charlie Bauer from Newton. There was 2 things. One was the county fair, and my dad just loved the machinery and the cows there. And the other thing that the kids really loved was the Catholic Lights picnic that was held out at Silver Lake.
Okay.
And there the insurance company would send out coupons, and my dad would always give, the older kids got more coupons, so we got more soda and goodies than the smaller kids did.
Oh, no. Very good. Thank you very much. And myself, Jerry O'Neill, the videographer. Our occasion was to go to the Manitowoc County Fair, and my dad and mother, they always liked the nighttime shows from the grandstand. Years ago, they were quite glamorous, I guess you'd say, a lot of nice fancy lighting and costumes, so that was something to see. We enjoyed that. And I guess our topic this evening, we'll start with something unusual, I guess.
Okay, first of all, we want to remind all of you about the fundraiser that we're going to be having next week at the CR Stop Mobile Station. And that's located at the exit of County Trunk C and I-43 at Newton. And the reason we're doing this because we couldn't get money from Trivent last year because we didn't have a fundraiser of our own. And for every $2 we raise, they will give us $1. So we thought, what are we gonna do? And we have to thank Charlie Bauer and Jerry. They set this all up. And Richard Wiegand and me are going to be working under them, okay?
Oh, my goodness.
That's not next week, that's.
No, the 23rd.
23rd, that's
The
Yeah,
23rd of
25th,
July.
Right.
The next thing we want to talk about is Charlie and Jerry have gotten a wagon to go into the parade, into the Cleveland parade. What's your opinion? How many of you would be interested in riding on the wagon that we did when we went through Cleveland? That we'd have people on there?
When is it?
When is it?
7th
7th of August.
And that's on a Sunday.
Afternoon. I think that parade starts at 12 noon, right?
It's noon.
Where, and can anybody help me? Where does it start? Where would we have to go?
Where the co-op was.
Where the co-op was? Okay, is, what's
That whole street.
that whole street, and then do you have to, well, I can call Charlie Cope or Polly and see if we have to have a number, I don't know how it works. And also, we thought it would be sort of fun if we were close, because we are a historical society, you know, so whatever you what you would have, but don't wear anything too hot if it's a sunny day, although we will be, you know, under the canopy of the wagon.
What's the wagon gonna be pulled by?
Charlie, what's the wagon going to be pulled by?
Well, if we do it the inexpensive way, my vehicle.
Oh, Charlie's vehicle, yeah.
But if we want the horses, it's gonna run us over
No
$100.
horses for me.
No. I'll probably pull it with the car again.
With the car, he'll
Yeah.
probably pull it there. I'll send a paper around, whoever's interested can sign up.
Lady here who's going to present a question at this moment.
My name is Cathy Sixel, and I got a call this evening from Audrey Ertl, who was unable to attend, and she said, if you see Larry Kieselhorst, would you please ask him about this photo with all the money? No.
And he's got some kind of a picture, and he's going to explain something about it. Go right
Well,
ahead.
we talked about this the last 2 months, and the last thing that Eddie Free told me, he says, go look it up. So I literally did that.
Okay.
Audrey Ertl read her little 50-year thing there, and they talked about $4,000 spent on streeter fixtures. And we've been going around with this, nobody knows what streeter fixtures are, and according to what I found here, it was the shelving inside, and I'm gonna pass it around to the people that worked at the co-op that looks like the shelving that was in the co-op. And the main company is out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, so I'm assuming that's where the headquarters for the co-op was, so the whole
Oh.
thing might just tie together here.
Okay. A lady here who has brought a little bit of information from her home, and she'd like to share that. Go right ahead, please.
And Dorothy Anderson from down in Hika, and my dad, I don't know if this was printed by him or not, but the Cleveland Cooperative put a half a page of ad in this, the Lakeland Reporter, and this is in 58.
Okay.
And here's this ad.
Okay, if you could just hold it up there for a moment. I didn't realize they were selling all these commodities here.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Okay,
Mention what they
we
have.
got some garden tools and lawn seeds, and I see rakes and hoses, grass seeders, wheelbarrows, and again, the year that they advertised is 1958, you say?
This is 59, yeah.
59, okay. Okay, thank you.
In the beginning, does anybody know, like, after a while, it became the Midland Cooperative, you know, and they
Yes.
worked out of Minneapolis. And then they sort of sold the stock to Land O'Lakes. And that's when there was a drastic change. You recall that, Larry?
No, I just don't recall the thing, but I remember when it took place.
What was it before it was Midland?
I really
Well, you
don't know.
probably weren't there then yet. When did you start working?
Oh, man, I can't remember the year even when I started. I can't remember
Okay.
what year it was.
But I see in, even in that advertisement that was shown to me by Dorothy Anderson, it indicated Midland Co-op. Now, they took the name away from Cleveland, is that right, or not? Or did they always?
The Cleveland Co-op just handled a bunch of the Midland
Oh.
products.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
But these do look like a lot of the fixtures that were in the co-op.
They do.
Yes. And
Okay.
you know, the bad part was, when a guy was taking pictures, Like I should have always put the year on. Now you know you're blank.
Yeah.
Can't remember when
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. Okay. Sir, identify yourself, please.
Okay, my name is Eugene Moiser,
Yes, sir.
and I would say it was maybe 1966, 66 or 67, me and Pinky used to put on in
And who was Pinky? What was his?
Well, Donald Sixel.
Donald Sixel, thank you.
He was in charge of the fertilizer department that time.
Okay,
And we'd put that on, well, it took about maybe 2 months, and you started at 5 in the morning, worked at 10 o'clock at night.
oh my gosh.
And then we had a haul in hydrous out of Keel at that time. We didn't have it down here.
Now, what is that word again?
Anhydrous,
What-
ammonium nitrate.
Oh, ammonium, okay. And you had to get that from Kiel,
We had to pick that up at Keel.
okay?
Tanks that
Okay.
time. Later on, we had our own tank down. They brought it in semi, and
Okay.
you loaded the cars down there, or the wagons down there.
Now, as far as any fertilizers, other than this ammonia thing, did that come in from the railroad? Cars come in to you, or how did that work?
Well, they had one plant, and that they tore down that time. Must have been maybe 67, and then they built a different one, and then they built one maybe, I would say 1980, and that one is still was still there yet, some of the building.
Okay. Now, that building just held the fertilizer?
What?
That buildings just stored the fertilizer, or what did they do?
Well, they had storage that come in with 100 ton at a clip in a car that they had an elevator outside that would bring it up to the bin at that time.
Okay. So that building had to be somewhat close to the railroad tracks then, right?
It was, yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, was that separated from the feed mill, I presume, right?
Right, that was separate. The
Okay.
fertilizer department was separate.
Okay, okay. And the different fertilizers that would come in, like, would it be like the standard lime would come in, or?
No, it was, what do you call it, potash and, they had 3 different kinds. It all come in, and then you had a little, that time, the first one, they had a little Ford tractor with a bucket on it.
Okay,
But afterwards, they got a bigger one.
okay,
But that come in 100 ton in a car,
okay,
bulk.
okay, very good. Okay. And did they do any mixing of fertilizer, or do you mix fertilizer? I don't know if they do that.
Yeah, they mixed the fertilizer.
Okay.
Suspects.
So
They
you,
bagged it.
okay. You had a bagger there too?
They had a bagger there too.
Oh, okay,
A lot of them had bagged, but more and more went bulk.
okay, later
In
on,
later years it went.
okay.
And they had a regular tender trucks later on that hauled it in bulk.
Are they the ones that I recall seeing around the farms? They were kind of white in color,
Right.
big
right.
tires on them and things like that?
No, there were regular trucks, but it just
Oh.
was a box on with auger and back to deliver to the farmer.
Okay,
Nowadays they're a lot bigger than what they were
yeah,
then.
yeah, okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna go back to Cathy for 1 minute yet
Okay.
before I get to you, okay?
Okay.
She's gonna ask the question. Stick on a little bit, but Cathy's gonna ask the question.
My name is Cathy Sixel, and I want to know, Eugene Moiser, when did the first fertilizer plant and the second fertilizer plant go up, and if you know capacity and so forth?
Okay, thank you. Question from Cathy, and this gentleman said he can answer those. Go right ahead, please.
My name is Eugene Moiser, and I would say it had to be in, I started on the 65, so I would say maybe 67, the first one, and the other one was maybe, now capacity-wise, I don't know, it wasn't as big as what the last one was, but the next one that they put up, I think they could at least put 50 carloads of fertilizer in there.
Oh,
So 50 carloads, 100, say 100 tons a car. So
mm-hmm. Wow, that was all right. Very good. Thank you. Harry O'Neill, I'm asking a question in regard to if the co-op supplied any other products to the farmers, and this gentleman said he can answer that. Go right ahead.
Yes, they did handle stanchions.
And who are you, sir?
Larry Kieselhorst.
Thank you, Larry.
But I worked in the machinery department, but I know they had stanchions there and drinking cups and
Okay.
different supplies like that for the barn.
Okay. Did they also assemble that? Did they send a crew out to put it?
No, those were picked up and they put them in themselves.
Oh, okay.
They a lot of times cut the pipe threads in the
Yep,
machining for
sure.
threading it, but that was it.
Okay,
And then they had the parts and stuff for the drinking cups and also the elbows and the different things.
all right.
And
So-
that was sold out of the hardware.
What again?
That was sold out of the hardware.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. Thank you very much. Would you like to ask a question? Right ahead, please.
My name is Cathy Sixel, and somebody can help me out on this. I was thinking about the year 2002 is when they decided to close the co-op at Cleveland. Am I right about this? I think Donald worked there yet, you know, right up to his death. And I think shortly after that, I met Willard and Alice Mathias, and then they had said that they were going to start to demolish it, that the wrecking ball was there. And I have some of the pictures along, and that's what was on the card too. That was when they were demolishing the co-op, I think the mill
Okay.
and the store,
Okay.
the hardware store.
All right.
So am I correct on the year?
Ask the question. Jerry O'Neill asked the question in regard to taxes and so forth that the co-ops would have had to pay, and if there was any difference if you were incorporated as a business or a privately owned business. Go right ahead, please.
Willard Mathias, we talk about taxes. When we had our dairy, we'd have to pay taxes on our profit, where a cooperative takes that money and they take it back and give it to the farmer.
Okay.
But they were giving a farmer, what did you call them, slip of paper that you had so much earned that year,
Okay.
but you didn't get that money.
The farmer didn't get that
No,
money.
they just got the slip of paper because they didn't make that much money to co-op. But we had to pay the taxes, they didn't have to.
Okay.
And then he had that slip of paper that didn't really mean nothing. And then about 7 or 8 years, they would call in one of those slips of paper and say, now we can pay you on some of that money.
Oh, okay.
And but we still had to pay taxes.
Okay.
They didn't, they got away with it. It ain't any different than Trivan Insurance Company.
Okay.
They'll go to work and they're like a cooperative too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Will give you dividends, and they'll give money to fundraisers, like you want to run or any fundraiser, and that way they don't have to pay taxes on their profit. They can go to
Okay.
work and give it to the people.
Uh-huh.
And it's a cooperative, it's the same thing.
Okay.
But I know when the co-op, before they closed, I had a little money coming from them. It wasn't hardly nothing, but it was their profit.
Yeah.
But then they'll give you a slip of paper, and then you were supposed to put that on your tax. You say like
Your income, huh?
on my income, then see.
Ah.
That they didn't have no income.
Okay.
But to me, as an individual, I always felt that a cooperative is like Lake to Lake. When they started a dairy in Manitowoc and Sheboygan, they bought on a big dairy, and then they started bottling milk there.
Okay.
And after they were in business for 5 years, they had penny one to make it.
Okay.
But they had it over us because they could go to work and pay their farmers a little less than what we had to pay our farmers. You can't
Okay.
believe it that the farmers would do that, but
Yes.
they were hooked for 5 years. We lost, when the Lake to Lake opened up, we lost a few of our farmers
Mm-hmm.
to Lake to Lake,
Okay.
and they couldn't wait until their 5 years were up, and we got them back again. They
Okay.
came back to us again
I see.
because they lost too much money while they were at Lake to Lake.
Okay.
And a cooperative, if you run a cooperative, it's just like a big business you read in the paper where this guy gets $1.3 million bonus. So the cooperative is the same way. If he runs a business good, they give them a big bonus because they wanna keep them. So whose money is it? It's the farmer's money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing, you know, it just, to me, I can't see a cooperative, I can't see a real big business, because they, like I said, they pay this guy to run it a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody's losing out on the end.
Mm-hmm.
But like if it's a family affair,
Mm-hmm.
where you're working to make ends meet all the time and improving,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only kind of business I can see, really, you know, because you're working hard to keep your business going.
Okay. A question now, when you would sign up for cooperative, and there was, likely you mentioned Lake to Lake Cooperative, and there was egg cooperatives, I guess, and so forth, and this feed and so forth. Now, the farmers had to pay some money into this to get it all started? Is that how that worked?
They had to pay so much a cow,
So much a cow?
right,
Okay,
to get this thing started.
okay,
Now, Valor started the egg cooperative that maybe lasted maybe 10 years at the most.
I just have no idea just how long.
that was a mower or something that
Yeah.
ran that, right?
He started it,
Okay,
and maybe about 10 years they were in business. And they were going hot guns, all of a sudden, boom, the bottom fell out.
mm-hmm,
And it's the same thing like you just seen on the TV, where this outfit was making cottage cheese for some
yes,
for some big dairies
Yes.
or some grocery stores.
grocery store, yeah,
And then you lose that account
yes,
because they can't compete.
okay,
And then there's some individual will probably sell it a little cheaper. That's just the way it is.
no, sure,
Very
business is business,
was.
yeah,
When we were in business, everything was on bids.
uh-huh,
When we bottled milk for different dairies, we
Okay.
had to have a bid in,
sure,
or deliver milk to Camp Haven. Everything was on bids, and you work on a very small margin.
mm-hmm,
So it's a dog-eat-dog world.
yes, I would say. Well, like, if you did bid it to supply the supplies like you would be with milk, and the farmers now needed more money for their product, that put a little squeeze on you.
Well, we had our farmers, but like I said, the cooperative, 90% of the time could get away with paying their farmers less than what we paid our farmers.
Okay,
Because we still had to compete with Very Fine and all the other dairy officials and that were bottling milk and Sorge and all this. We still had to compete. They paid their farmers so much, we
Yep.
had to too.
Yep.
And for our cheese, we had a bunch of cheese factories around the whole area, where like Spring Valley and Osmond. Well, Osmond wasn't no problem till later on. But any cheese factory, you had to come pay what they had.
mm-hmm,
But if you got a farmer hooked for 5 years, you can pay him what you want him.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, that's right,
And that's what was happening up at Lake to Lake.
okay. Well, a very interesting point of view. I never recall that as being a part of the problems, and I can see what you're saying. Very good point of view. Thank you. This gentleman here, and he's indicating the things that, how they started out a little bit in their business. Go right ahead.
I'm Willard Mathias. It talked about my dad when he bought the Cleveland Cheese Factory, had 14 farmers.
Yes.
And so then if some of them would have joined a cooperative, he'd have been done.
Mm-hmm.
But like there was a cooperative cheese factory up at Mineral Springs, had one. Cloverleaf, that would by you there, is that Cloverleaf?
X and Union Road.
Yeah, and then there was another one 2 blocks down
Classics?
by Classics, that was a cooperative. There were 3 of them.
Wow.
With Osmond is 4, and but at that time, most of those cooperatives had a hard time keeping a cheesemaker, because every one of them didn't have enough milk to all those little cheese factories. I think it was Cloverleaf Cheese Factory. That was on the Union Road, you know. They did change cheesemakers every so often there because the guy wasn't
Yeah.
making enough money there. But every factory, there was one on every other corner.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had, like I said, 14 farmers, 10 farmers. And in winter time, they didn't hardly have any milk.
Mm-hmm.
So then my dad had a little time off, you know, but my dad, to make a living, he raised his own pigs. I mean, raised pigs, he raised chickens, he raised turkeys, he had mink. He had everything going when he was running his dairy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And well, we did bottled milk too, which helped, and delivered house to house. Like I said, one time it was 8 cents a quart, 4 cents a pint. Delivered 7 days a week.
Oh, gosh. Now, again, it probably might be a repeat, but when did you start again as far as your business, and when you saw these co-ops coming into the picture, you know, the thoughts that went through your mind?
My dad started in Cleveland, I think, in 1925, 1926.
Okay.
And when Lake to Lake started, that was
1946.
When was it?
1946.
46? Okay.
They may have started organizing in 45.
Then they started organizing. They didn't do much before that, no. But anyway, when they started, and then when they started bottling milk in Sheboygan, the modern dairy plant, and we had all these schools in the whole area.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we bottled milk for the schools during the school season, our machines would run at least 2 hours a day just bottling half pints of milk.
Mm-hmm.
And some was chocolate and some was white. But, and then as soon as they got started bottling milk, then all these farmers would say, hey, my kids go to this school, I want our bought milk over there. So we lost a lot of the school milk business.
Okay.
And even like some of the Catholic churches and stuff like that, they've had their schools, they would deliver milk there. And they would say, hey, you know, this is, our milk is going to lake, and we want you to,
Mm-hmm.
so we lose that account. But there wasn't much bait on the deal anyway, but it was just the idea that you could get rid of some surplus.
Sure.
During the year there. So.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Gentleman will identify himself, and he has a little story to tell. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Melvin Yiddish, and my uncle, or my grandfather, had twin daughters, and one married Walter Summer, and he had the cheese factory where Hintz was in afterwards.
Okay, and that was located where, road-wise?
Union and 149 at that time.
Okay.
And the other one was Ed Sixel, and he had the cheese factory before Mathias did.
Oh, okay.
And the wives were twin sisters.
Oh, boy.
But my grandfather, he hauled his milk down to Cleveland so he could spend more time in Cleveland. And he built a horse barn, and had to be high enough the door so that somebody could ride the horse out of the inside of the barn.
Okay.
And he had 2 farms at one time. He married a widow that had a farm. And the boys always had a harness that team for on the road before they even started milking. So he could get on there and go if he wanted to.
But they had a special door made that he could ride out of the barn with on the saddle, huh? Pretty good.
But I don't think he did ride much. But they always, years ago, they had a team that they used on the road, and then the heavier teams for the farm work.
Oh, okay.
And this team had to be harnessed in the first thing in the morning.
Okay. Ready to go. Thank you. We had some pictures, and the gentleman here will identify himself and tell us a little bit what we're seeing.
I'm Willard Mathias. This is the front part of the Cleveland Cooperative where they had their equipment, the hardware store of it.
And we're looking what direction? Can you tell us that?
You're looking, I would say, toward more of the east.
Okay,
And the mill is in the back of it.
all right,
And you can see the crane over there, he's demolishing it.
okay,
I would walk by there every day when they were doing this.
okay,
So I'd always see every day what they were doing
okay.
and see that they done it right.
You were a sidewalk foreman, huh?
And
Okay,
it's
that one that you just had there, could you tip that one up again, please?
This one here is the mill part.
Okay,
They've got the office part down now.
okay, so they
And
moved
this-
up a little
down,
further.
They're gonna take the mill down.
Okay.
And it's all fortified with iron rods.
Oh,
And they take this big ball and they bang up against it.
mm-hmm,
And a couple times they hit it and it don't even move.
uh-huh,
So they keep pounding until they get it to look like this.
okay. Oh, my
Rubble.
God,
You can see all the iron
yeah,
in between there.
they just keep pulverizing it up, huh?
Okay.
Okay,
And then, let's see, once they got it that far, they come in with this thing and they pick up the rubble
okay,
and they put that on a separate pile at first
okay,
because we don't have this machine along here tonight to show you what they do with this.
okay,
But when they're done with this cement,
mm-hmm.
it'll be used for gravel. In fact,
They grind it up that small?
they grind it up as small as they want it. And a lot of this gravel is on the same, is still there yet,
Mhm.
and it's where the building stood.
Okay.
Below ground, they filled that all in with this gravel,
Okay,
and the rest they sold to someone.
okay,
They hauled it out. And during the time, all the while, Eddie don't have when they were taking it down, the smell was so strong that the neighbors around could hardly breathe.
what kind of smell were they getting?
It was from the old, like malty, or you had it, didn't you? Over by you, that smell, didn't you? Anyway, it was like a moldy smell
Okay,
because there was so much of that left on the side of the buildings, and they had the smoke, and it was just like almost like on fire over there. In fact, the fire department did go over there and made it out once.
oh, really?
But there was a lot of stuff.
Smoldering.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
moldy
really?
and stuff.
No
And
kidding.
it just, it was really a bad smell over there for a long time.
Hmm.
But once they got it down and ground up, then
Well, now, I got a question in that regard. Now, did they, when they built new or whatever they did there or improved, did they leave an older building sit there and then built right around it or something like that would cause this?
the
or-
co-op that time, no, they tore that old part, that was just about where this new part is.
But they tore all the old buildings down and started from scratch?
See, the old buildings were all wood,
Yes.
and there wasn't much to that.
But Willard, didn't they move that wooden building back to the other one first?
Probably did, that I don't remember, but I know that when they built this, they must have, like you said, built around it or something at first, because they still had to grind feed.
Yeah, the
Oh,
other one
okay.
was close to what that brick house was, brick plant was listed, that there was only maybe 15 feet in between them.
See, the old Cleveland Co-op wasn't very, very big. I mean, it was big enough, but it wasn't, it was like long and thin, and it was across the railroad tracks because they got a lot of their stuff in from the railroad at that time.
Okay, I got a question in regard, now, you used to rent or lease a building that was in the area of the co-op. Is that gone too now?
No, that's still standing.
That's still standing?
After we went out of business, the Cleveland Co-op bought that building.
Okay, and they maintained it yet there?
They used that for storage, batteries, and
Okay,
fixing tires and at one time and things like that. And
But that is still standing yet today?
That building is still standing there.
Okay, very good.
That separated that metal.
Oh, yeah, that's, like she said.
Yes,
This
you got a picture of that?
machine here, what I was gonna say,
Could you show that picture, please?
when this machine that they did have, they'd pick this stuff up, put it into this machine, and it'd come out, and the metal would come flying out on one end,
You're kidding.
and all the cement ground up
Yeah.
would go on the other end on a great big pile. The pile was, when he got done, there they had about 2 piles. And they were just about like a 2-3-story or 3-story house.
Really?
There was so much, well, you can imagine when you look at this building and it was all cement and they grind it up, how much it's gonna be there, you know.
So it was a poured cement building, or was it a cement
It was
block?
all poured cement building.
Really?
All building is poured.
Wow.
When was all this? When was all this done? You're talking-
1902.
2002.
1902.
1902. Okay, I'll get there.
We jumped the millennium a little bit. 2002, you said that was done, huh? Okay.
3 years ago.
But I know
Okay.
I'd walk by there every day,
Okay.
and these guys would be working there, and then I'd talk to them for a little while. And then for a month, they weren't there, and I says to them when he got back, I says, how come you guys weren't working? I'm walking by here every day and nobody's around here. And he says, he went on vacation. He's the boss, so he could go on.
He could do what he wanted, huh?
And this was in winter.
Okay. Okay, well, very interesting story. We didn't know what all took place there, and it was good you monitored it for us.
But, you know, one thing, like the co-op, I do miss it as now yet.
Yes.
If I need anything, I have to either go to Sheboygan or Manitowoc. This way I could go over there and pick up what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually always bought my gas over there, and in fact, I bought a John Deere lawnmower too from Larry.
That's right.
Oh, really?
But, no, I always supported the co-op.
Okay.
John Deere, but,
Well, that's very
it's
good.
just, it's one of those things.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, you had a recall a little bit here. Go right ahead.
One thing the Cleveland Co-op had is the same thing we had in our dairy. 1.5 miles, you got Lake Michigan. You don't do business in Lake Michigan.
Yes, yes.
So that was one of our downfalls right there. I mean,
Okay,
I can see them moving to Kiel
okay.
to give a little bigger surrounding. It's like we were supposed to, if we would have had to stay in business, we would have had to move to Chilton, they figured, so.
Oh, okay.
To get a bigger surrounding,
All right.
but, we didn't want to do that either.
Mm-hmm.
But, the lake is nice for fishing, swimming, and to look at. But you can't do any business with it.
You're right, you're right. That is very true. It's a good point. Well said, well said. Thank you. We've had a question from Cathy to this gentleman, and he'll identify himself and give us some information. Go right ahead, please.
Okay, Larry Kieselhorst, and I sold farm equipment. I worked for Clarence Coop and Howard Vogel, and after all for Donald Sixel.
Okay.
And then it came to the point where they decided to merge with Kiel Co-op.
Yes.
And to me, that was a disaster.
Okay.
For number one is, we got T. Becker to help Audrey, and she was an asset, and manager was a disaster. His name
Okay.
was Bruce Trewind, and if you ever met a dick, that was
That
him,
was him.
without a doubt.
Was he from the local area, or was he just brought in, or what?
Well, I don't know where he really originated from the start, but he had an education that long and no
Okay.
common sense, as far as I was concerned.
Okay.
And I can recall one time, we did a lot of business with Wunsch Farms.
With what farm?
Wunsch Farms,
Oh,
Harvey
yes.
and Leslie.
Sure.
And Harvey came down one time and was walking from the office over to the machinery department, and Bruce was coming out of our office over at the new part there where the machinery was.
Mm-hmm.
And Harvey said good morning to him, and he walked right past like he didn't even see a body. Harvey came in by me, he said, what the heck's the matter with that guy?
Yeah.
I told him, don't feel bad. I said, he does that to us in the shop there too. We meet him in the narrow hallway, go into the shop, you'd say good morning, and he'd just walk past it like he didn't know you existed.
Oh,
So that morning I decided to go in and I told Bruce, I said, boy, you really slighted a good customer of ours. I said, he said good morning to you and you just walked past like he didn't even know that you were walking there.
mm-hmm.
He said, what the hell makes you think I was hired here to invite the, with the customer? Like he was such a big wheel that he didn't have to say good morning to the customers.
Oh boy.
And
oh boy.
then after a while, one time we came back from Arizona, and I had a call, and Bill Sampson was supposed to come out to repair something. So I goes out to the machine shop, and I told Eddie Frey, the shop foreman, I said, so-and-so wants Bill Sampson to come out.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Bill Sampson isn't here anymore. I said, he isn't? No, he said, and T. Becker isn't either, he said. They both left on the same day, he said.
Whoa, whoa.
Well, I said, how come this happened? Eddie said, I don't know. He said, they both headed in with Bruce. So I went in by Bruce. I told him, Bruce, we got a problem here. Something's wrong. To lose two people like that were with you, like Bill Sampson, maybe 18 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long T was with us. And both good help. And he told me, he said, what the hell makes you think you can't be replaced? I told him I didn't say that. So then I just struggled along just because I knew I was going to retire. And I thought,
Yeah.
Was he there?
oh gosh, I just can't remember. But it was way too many.
It wasn't very long.
No, it wasn't, no. But we lost too many customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like customers down at Port Washington
Mm-hmm.
that did a lot of business with us.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't only lose that customer, you lose his brother, you lose two of his neighbors, and
Mm-hmm.
it just went down fast.
Right. Your customer must be treated like a king.
Yes.
And apparently you did it well for many, many years, and somebody didn't have that kind of a
No,
tactfulness.
that was, and I know when Clarence Coop or Howard or Pinky, they were busy guys, but if they just meet a guy and they just step in a minute, they talk to him, and the guy go out with a big smile, and these guys, well, they would just went out the door and you didn't see them back.
Never seen him back. Wow. Yes. Very good story, Larry.
Yeah,
Very
that
good.
was
Thank
a
you.
disaster.
Lady here who was affiliated in some degree with, through her husband, with the co-op, and she and he saw many things change too. Go right ahead, please.
My name is Cathy Sixel, and my husband was Donald Sixel, and he worked at the co-op for 39 years. So we saw a lot of progression, but then we saw it going down. Don worked there up until his death in 2002, and he would go there and he said, I can't believe what's happening. I just can't believe what's happening, and it was just like it got just less and less and less. So actually, if it closed like the year before, 2001, and then they demolished the building in 2002, it could have been in a series of years like that, though. Although we did have nice years, right, Larry? When we all worked there, it was like a nice family, actually. But times changed, too. For one thing, if they lost an account with a big farmer, you lost a lot. Because years ago, that was 10 farmers, right? They merged into one big farmer, and if you lost that farmer, you lost a lot that you had to cater to the general public.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I must say that Donald lived the co-op. That was his life.
Okay.
Yep, and, well, he was there until the end, you know, so.
Sure.
Yep, and that's how it went.
Very good.
Matter of fact, when he had the first cancer, the prostate cancer, he wanted to delay it a week because he had promised to work at the co-op. And then the doctor and I decided that it was not a very good idea because you don't know how it grows, you know.
Yeah.
So we decided he should have the surgery, but he was quite upset about that.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Here, would you like to say a few words and identify yourself, please?
I'm Alice Mathias. I always remember our son worked at the co-op
Okay.
for a little bit when he was just young, out of high school or before high school, whenever it was. He pumped gas on Saturday mornings. But they always had a big Christmas party on Christmas Eve afternoon,
Okay.
right? They'd close, and then they'd go to a bar, I believe,
Yeah.
and they'd say and our son was only like 18, and he came home so loaded on a Christmas Eve, and he got broken but good. Larry can probably tell you about a lot of stories.
Every year they close the bars at 6 o'clock on Christmas Eve.
Oh, that could be, I don't know.
anything to add, being a former employee?
We got one over here, I'm sorry. Larry, go right ahead.
Yeah, Larry Kieselhorst.
Yes, sir.
Well, I can recall, out of all the years I worked there, when there was a Christmas party, everybody signed up for it. If
Okay.
there was a summer picnic, everybody signed up for it.
Yes.
The last years, you would have begged somebody to come, and, well, half the time we hardly had, only a couple of them there, it didn't amount to nothing.
Wow.
So finally, it just, and the working relationship after this guy came was altogether different, because everybody used to help each other out.
Yes.
If you were having a little bit of a problem, the next guy came and pitched in and
Sure.
gave you a hand, and it just happened to disturb the whole apple cart completely, because the atmosphere was different and nobody helped each other, and you just fell apart. The working relation wasn't there anymore.
It almost
Just a
could,
terrible-
when I'm listening to you and listening to how it all deteriorated, it almost as if they took the word co-op out of it completely. Because you mentioned co-op. You were cooperating with each other and running a nice business and everything was going well. This gentleman, whoever he was, came and took the word co-op out of the whole thing.
Well, nobody, it just, nobody cared for the guy, and it just, it was a complete different working area.
Okay. Well, thank you very much,
Yes.
Larry. That's a very poignant thing to point out that,
Very disappointing.
yes, thank you very much.
Before that, everybody seemed to like their job. They were there way ahead of time,
Yep,
and nobody was just, and I myself, I couldn't, every day, and I didn't care what time I got home or so,
Yeah.
didn't bother. But
Yeah.
the last 2 or 3 years, I thought if only this damn day is over with.
yeah, that's right. No, I know what you mean. Very good, thank you. Very good, well done. We just brought up something and we'd like to talk about it. Go right ahead, please.
Melvin Yiddish, and I believe it was the director's fault because they let this man do what he wanted to do when they were supposed to tell him what to do and he was supposed to do it that
That's
way.
correct. Okay, thank you very much. Good.
I always get my haircuts down here in Cleveland by Don Bennett.
Yes,
Well, we had company come, and my wife said, you need a haircut. So, well, I went into Manitowoc to a place. He said, I'll give it to you tomorrow morning, 9:30. So I got there, and I seen he was just taking a little bit off. I said, I want a short haircut. He said, I don't give short haircuts. He told me.
really?
He said, I do the haircut. I said, oh, boy, you've seen me once, buddy.
Yeah.
He gave me a card, and he said if next time I call him ahead of time for an appointment. I took the card, well, I stuck that in here, and when I got home, I threw it in the basket.
Yeah.
$12. Well, you wouldn't know I got a haircut.
That's how he keeps business.
You reminded me of immediately.
That guy that you had. Thank you, Larry. Good job.
I'm Cathy Sixel, and Larry talked about the Christmas parties we had at the co-op. And when it got to more years as Donald was the manager, the younger employees started putting the squeeze on. And if you didn't, they wanted to have top entertainment like Rocket 88 and bands like that. Well, that was never in the book, and you would be spending the people's money. You know what, like you said, Willard, it was the people's money.
Yeah.
But they said, if you don't do this or that, we're just not going to come anymore. And that, things like that began, you know.
Oh my gosh.
The last years when Donald was manager, you know, so. But, well, okay, I think we'll sign off on the Cleveland Co-op. Next month, we're going to meet August 8th, and Tom Gretz is going to be here, and he's going to be talking about the post office and Gretz's. He was very happy to come. I just spoke to him tonight. The following month, September 12th, the Cleveland Bank is going to be coming, and they're going to give us their history. So you all are welcome, and again, I want to thank you all for coming, and especially the former Cleveland employees. It was a real pleasure hearing the stories of the Cleveland Co-op.
Very
Will
good.
you be sending us a card again?
If you want one, I
I would
certainly
like to
will.
have
Okay.
Eugene, would you like to get a card? I mean, sure, all right. I
Very
will do
good.
that, yep.
Good
And
job.
sorry I forgot to put on what our topic was. I had to type it a couple of times, my computer didn't work, and I had to type it with a typewriter. So you never can go back, you know? So, and thank you all again, and I hope to
Okay.
see all of you at our next meetings. We are not going to be in the parade. It looks not enough people signed up.
Okay,
So
that's
we'll
fine.
have to drop that.
Okay, but don't forget about our little fry out.
Yep, okay, and we're gonna have the fry at the CR mobile station, and that is July 23rd.
Okay, that's a
Okay.
Saturday it's starting in slightly in the morning, is that
Yep,
correct?
9:30 in the morning it'll start.
Okay, very good,
Okay,
Ken.
bring your friends,
Yeah.
send them over.
And we'll sign off.
Yep, I have one, but I'm gonna post them like at the bank and all over.
Okay, show that one more time, Kathy.
Okay,
Does she need help? Do you need help?
I don't think so, Charlie. Do we need help? Charlie's the head of the fry.
Jerry said he's doing all the frying.
Oh.
Doing the selling, so I'm manager. I think we're gonna cover it.
We take care of the financing.
Here's an extra copy, if anybody wants.
I wrote
one.
it down.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll sign off and you just give your full name and we'll go from there.
Okay. Larry Kieselhorst, was in the machinery department at the
Good.
Cleveland Co-op.
Very
How
good.
many years, Larry?
Oh gosh, it was quite a few, I don't remember exactly.
Oh,
Throw a rough number.
Oh, it must have been about, maybe 30-some years.
Okay, thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Willard Mathias.
Thank you, Willard. And who do you have here?
I'm Alice
Thank-
Mathias.
Very good, Alice. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Irene Dine.
Thank you, Irene. And who do you have here, please?
Fred Jacoby.
Thank you, Fred. And this gentleman?
Melvin Yiddish.
Thank you, Melvin. And you, sir?
Eugene Moiser.
Thank you for all your help tonight. Thank you. And you, ma'am?
Dolores Cress.
Thank you, Dolores. And who do you have here, please?
Cathy Wagner.
Thank you, Kathy. And who do you have here, please?
Walter Crest.
Walter, thank you.
Marie Pippert.
Marie, thank you also.
Edith, let's see,
Thank you, Edith.
Dorothy Anderson.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Charlie Bauer.
Charlie Bauer, thank you. And I want to thank everybody for showing up this evening and being a participant in this historical putting together information. Thank you very much.